Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is match day. The games keep flowing, don't they? They are coming thick and fast. And we've got another game tonight, another home game. And I think Tottenham Hotspur are going to get that win tonight against Copenhagen and get some of this ridiculous made up melodrama, dramatic nonsense sorted. Spurs are in a crisis. How does Frank save Spurs' season? What? How does he save our season on the 4th of November? It is what it is. I think we're going to win tonight. I was having a little look at Copenhagen earlier, and everything looks like we should win, right? But it's interesting. I want to talk about yesterday about the press conference that we saw Vicario and Thomas Frank give, which I thought was really good. I thought was very honest. And I thought was also a little bit sad that they felt the need to have to come out that, not aggressively, but like to come out that forcefully and talk about the crowd and talk about support and talk about social media noise that Thomas Frank mentioned a few times. And guys and girls, I'll be honest. The last couple of years, I watch less and less YouTube now, which is mad, isn't it? Right? Because I'm a YouTuber. I try and watch as little as possible. When I turn off from streaming myself, I try and switch off now. One, because the comment sections are just vile, but two, just because there's so much spoken about, which is just way too dramatic. Like way too dramatic. And I'm guessing yesterday was the same. I'm seeing a lot of very misleading titles. I'm seeing a lot of drama after 10 games of football. And we never used to be like this. We didn't used to be like this. I always say I have to take responsibility as a YouTuber for being part of the issue. And I'm disappointed in myself for that behavior over the last few years. But for me, I used to really look forward to a Champions League. I used to look forward to any Spurs game. Like today, right now, it should be, Copenhagen at home. Champions League game, under the lights. Let's go. Let's do this. And more and more now, everything's centered around, well, if we don't win and if we don't play well and the manager's got to go, and it's like, it kind of takes away the enjoyment, doesn't it? It kind of takes away the enjoyment a little bit. And as I said, I can acknowledge where I've been part of this problem. And I just feel like there's a long road ahead of us. And let's see who's strapped in for the journey. Who's strapped in for this journey? Who has buckled up and said, you know what? There's going to be bumps along the road. Let's see what happens under Thomas Frank. Let's build. Let's grow together. And we've seen that. I would say, from what I can see, I'll be polite. 50% of the fan base and YouTubers have shit the bed already, and everything is dreadful. And you know what? This isn't about Thomas Frank, right? This isn't about Thomas Frank. He's the name right now. But if we're not going to get to the stage where managers get some windows, when managers get time on the training ground to work with players and to coach and change things, if we're not going to give time where a brand new Tottenham setup, if you will, if we're not going to give time for that to be implemented and embedded, then we might as well all pack up and go home. We might as well, we might as well turn around and say, we'll just support Spurs game to game. We'll support Spurs game to game, and I'll like the manager this week. I'll hate the manager next week, and everything's bad this week and everything's good next week. I can't understand the lack of patience. That's what I can't understand. You've got so many fans that didn't like the way we played last season and the year before. Now, that's fine. Not liking a style of play is fine. But then they want to give it about 10 games to change all of that. oh, I can't believe he's not changed this and this and that and XG. We're now using XG. I'm seeing people on panel shows saying this is the worst Spurs performance I've seen. I've seen much worse Spurs performances than what I saw on Saturday against Chelsea. Much worse. I've seen Spurs performances where we've conceded 7 goals. Last season, Liverpool ripped us open and scored 6. Should have had about 15. I saw Newcastle once beat us by 7. Right? We've seen our team ripped open time and time again, but suddenly everyone's forgotten all of that. And that's the worst game I've ever seen. Was it? Was it really the worst game you've ever seen? I've seen it. Absolutely, Nige. We're regressing. Wow. But like, what have we regressed from and to? Like, I don't know. This is the problem. The reason there's a new manager is because something didn't work before. Now, that's not Spurs. That's all football clubs, right? There are normally 2 to 3 reasons why you get a new manager. 1, a manager's been sacked for poor performance and a new manager has to come in. 2, a manager has been taken by another club and you've got to replace, i.e. what happened with Brentford. We took Frank, they had to replace, right? These are the reasons why managers come and go. If everything was fine, that there wouldn't be a new manager. It's... I suppose I'm just at that stage. I don't know if it's because I'm getting a bit older. I don't know if it's because I've had years of experience of being online and YouTube now to make me reevaluate things. But I look back at some of the things I've said about players and managers, and I think, gosh, Savva, yeah. Why did you not just anchor down a little bit? Look. The way I see it is this. We've got a brand new manager who's taken over a club that finished in 17th, but also are going into the Champions League. There's going to be error. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. There's going to be issues. There's going to be teething problems. And I'm seeing the manager being called a fraud. What are we doing? I watched a panel show. I don't know when it was, a couple of days ago. I don't know, one of these days. And it was someone, a Spurs YouTuber, was asking the question, where can Frank take us? And I sat there and I thought, sorry, are we Man City? Are we Liverpool? Are we a football club that win Premier League titles over and over and over again? You mean, where can Frank take us? We've won 1 trophy in the last 17 years, right? 1 trophy in 17 years. And we're talking about, but where do you think Frank can take us? I don't know. Why don't we worry about building the squad and putting the infrastructure in place first before we worry about where are we going to be in 3-4 years? Like, what was anyone? This is the key thing for me. I just don't know what anyone was expecting. And as I said to you guys yesterday, when I had the chat with my brother-in-law yesterday, who's a Chelsea fan, sensible lad though, really nice guy. I've got to say that. No, I don't. He's a really nice guy. And he said to me, he said, I just don't get. He said, I don't get your fans. Like, you see the club in a terrible state. You see a new manager come in and you expect like gold dust to be sprinkled over. And all of a sudden, you're amazing. And unfortunately, that is, guys and girls, isn't it? That is the era of 2025. The critique is fine. Critiquing is fine. But we've gone so far past critiquing now that it's just getting a little bit, I don't know, nauseating, isn't it? It's just getting a little bit nauseating. You're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games. Every time you have a bad game, it cannot be manager out. It can't be. It can't be. Oh, we lost. Right, manager out next. Who are we getting in? Like last night, I was watching. The boys were talking about who would you get in to replace Frank. What? What do you mean? And the hindsight all comes out, doesn't it? Should have been Iriola. If Iriola had had this start to the season, we'd all be saying the same thing. We'd all be saying the same thing. Get him out. Get him out. It's not worked. Get him out. If Glasner had had this start to the season, get him out. I think deep down, a lot of Spurs fans know what we are and what we're not. Deep down, we know what we are. We know we're a club that don't challenge for titles. And we know that we're a club that don't win many trophies. Now, do we want to be that? No. How do you get to that? Well, you get to that through stability. You get to that by buying better quality players. You get to that by allowing a manager to coach and train. Now I'm saying, oh, I thought Frank was a coach. Who's improved? And you're like, well, first and foremost, we hardly concede goals. So you would say the whole back four's improved, right? We're actually scoring goals with not very good forwards. So you would say that's improved. But even if that hadn't, it's 10 games in. It's 10 games in, right? And I think what I see from it is a lot of people then make up a narrative that isn't there. Look how many people have come into the show and said, oh, we only score from corners and set pieces. Okay. We only score from corners and set pieces. Yet when this table came out to show who would be top with goals from open play, if the league worked like that, obviously this was before Chelsea, Tottenham were top of the table. But don't let the facts get in the way of the narrative that we only score from set pieces and throw-ons. I would say at the beginning of the season, would anyone have really expected us to be doing better than what we're doing right now? Really, I'm asking honestly. I'm asking honestly, would anyone really have sat there and said, in the first 3 months, I expect much better than what we've seen right now? I don't think any sensible human being would have. I get it. You've got trolls. You've got silly people that seem to think this is Football Manager and that the new manager coming in can fix everything and make us amazing. It doesn't work like that. And this is the thing. I don't actually know if we have. I don't think we have. But it's the narrative people make. So as I said yesterday, all throughout my show, what was the narrative was 0.05 XG. All right, cool. All right, but it was one game. Like, was it good? No. Does Frank need to be critiqued? Yes. But like, it's way too much. And I'll tell you what happens, right? And this is, take it from someone who's an old seasoned pro on YouTube. What happens is fans go onto panel shows where everything's so childish. It's about cooking. Everything's about being in the mud and about cooking and, I gutted you this, you that, you're in the mud. Like, it's so boring. And they go out there and they go, Spurs are amazing. We're going to win the league this year. We've got this better. We've got that. It's amazing. Yet then when Spurs lose, they completely change it to manager out. It's shit. Unbelievable. Well, hang on. Maybe if you didn't have this crazy opinion and this crazy opinion and met somewhere in the middle, maybe it would be just a little bit more understandable, right? I'll ask this question. If Spurs had a forward line, I tell you what, there you go. Big up, Rob. That's exactly what I was about to say. If Spurs at the weekend had Tony, Wisser and Mbuemo as the front three, would we have had an XG of 0.05? I don't think we would have. I don't think we would have. Now, it doesn't excuse the game. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it. And of course, but do you remember, guys and girls, do you remember when it was the manager's job to go, God, that was shit. Let's sort it out. But now it's not. Now it's end of the world. So far, Spurs have lost one game in the League Cup away at Newcastle. We knew that was going to be a tough game. And we lost 3 league games out of 10. And if you lost 3 league games out of 10 every year, what's that? You'd lose 10.5 games in the season. Is that right? Let me work that out in my head. 3.5 games. Somebody in the chat, you can do the math better than me. I think you'd end up losing about 10.5 league games over a campaign if you lost 3 in every 10. The problem you have is I think fans expect that you never lose a game. And they say things like, well, if we had lost to Chelsea but had loads of chances, it would have been okay. Would it? Would it? I've seen us lose to Chelsea, have loads of chances, and we all still moan. Look, I think it all depends on where your expectations are as a football fan, right? Before we talk about the game. I think it's all about where your expectations are. As I said, my expectations aren't amazing because I look at the squad and I just think, okay. There are a lot of people that look at the squad and really do overrate players. They really do overrate players. And if you do that, you're going to overinflate your expectation of what can be achieved. So, for example, I've been on many panel shows where I hear how good Sarr is. Is he? Where we hear how good Bergvall is. Is he? Is he that good? Like, based on what? I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, like, if you put these players on this pedestal, you're going to be left disappointed when they're not delivering what you want them to deliver. Now, I kind of understand when Liverpool fans are frustrated with their team. Yeah, you've got Florian Wirtz, you've got Szoboszlai, Salah, Gakpo, Ekatike, Isak, Gravenberch, Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister. Yeah, when you've got that caliber of player, yeah, you can have the question about why aren't we creating more? Why are we not winning more games? When you're looking at Sarr, Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, Basuma, Johnson, Odegaard, Tell, Solanke. I mean, who is really looking at that group of players and going, "Oh, we should be good"? I don't. That's why I'm not panicked about it. I'm genuinely not panicked about this. And I think most people that have seen me, see, again, can I show you what frustrates me with people who don't understand football coaching? Is this frustrates the life out of me. Why aren't our players being coached to be better? Now, let's use that example, people. Right? Not every player can be coached better. Some players will naturally progress. Some players will naturally regress. Some players will naturally stand still. But also, that doesn't happen in the space of 2 to 3 months. It doesn't happen that doesn't happen over 2 to 3 months. And this is why there's so many people don't understand coaching. People like James T don't understand what happens inside a football club, what happens with a coach. When I see things like, isn't Frank's job to... Sure, but that takes time, right? Frank didn't buy Mbeumo, and then over the space of 3 months, he turned from somebody not many people had heard of to the Mbeumo who's gone to Man United. Like, surely we get that. I don't think the drop off between Bentancur. Yeah, but the difference is, James, Curtis Jones is one of their backup midfielders. Rodrigo Bentancur is one of our best midfielders. The difference is not just that we don't have, the difference is we don't have a lot of players, mate. As I said, it's worrying. Does it though? Wouldn't you say that Van de Ven and Romero have improved? Wouldn't you say that Jed Spencer's improved? I think Rodrigo Bentancur's playing better than last year. I would say he's improving. I don't think this is the problem. Right? They've had 3 months with their new manager. They've had 3 months, and this is where I the disillusionment of football fans in 2025 is mad. I would really love. I would really love for everybody to be able to go and spend a couple of days at a training ground and see what actually happens. I'd love them to see, because this notion that a manager comes in and in 10 games you go, he's amazing. That doesn't happen. Also, you don't know who will elevate themselves. And what I mean by that is, imagine every footballer was able to be coached to be better. Right? You'd never need to buy new players. Mad, isn't it? There's a lot going on. I think I don't understand. I don't understand how everything is now. And unfortunately, we do have too many fans that don't understand what actual managing is or what actual coaching is. We have too many fans that it changes opinion every week. By the way, dude, I saw all your comments about me last night on the Spurs 5. And then you ask why you're blocked from my show. I saw all your comments abusing me on the Spurs 5 last night. I'll tell you what, I actually even took a screenshot of it to show what a nasty, vile piece of work you are. Let me see if I can find it. I've got 8 comments that this Sam Smith now made about me last night. Right? Just constantly talks about me. Constantly. I don't think he's ever said anything nice. I don't think it's just constant. But yeah, he's always in here. Constantly in here. Goes on to other channels. The first thing. It's funny. I wasn't even on the show last night. Yet they're talking about me. Not the Spurs 5. People in the chat. Somebody says anything, Sam Smith is the first one there having a dig. Someone said here, I love, by the way, how this is. I'm going to set the record straight because I saw a few things that were said last night in the comment section of the Spurs 5 that isn't true, right? That isn't true. So, for example, someone called Ben V said, Savva is too insecure about being wrong that he had to leave the Spurs 5. First of all, I don't know what I've been wrong about. We're 10 games into a Premier League season. Yeah. And second of all, that's nothing to do with why I left the Spurs 5. By the way, I haven't fallen out with any of the Spurs 5. I speak to those guys every day. So again, it's madness, right? So people can just make up their own mind. They don't know what's going on in my life, right? Next person said, delighted he's gone. Johnny next. Ridiculous. To which Sam Smith comes in straight away, says, he also hates it if other people don't share the same opinions as him. Those with different opinions are trolls, according to Savva. You can see he hates it whenever one of the panel challenges his views. To which Sam Smith then came in and said, he's just very insecure. But yeah, here Sam Smith is talking. Here I am. And do you know what makes me laugh is? What makes me laugh about this is funny is one idiot will pretend, right? One idiot will pretend they know why I left the Spurs 5. they put it in a comment section as fact, and then idiots like Sam join in and go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you have no one has any idea. Would you all like to know why I left the Spurs 5? Right? Right? Would you all like to know why I left Spurs 5? Before absolute numpties like this just join in. See, do you know what's wrong with the world? As my mum always used to say to me, you've got people that want the world to fall apart. This is one of them. You've got people like that. Sad, lonely people that if they see somebody's getting talked about, their first thought is, I'm going to jump on it. And this is what this guy does. I'm going to call him out for a few minutes now. Every show he does this. If somebody talks about me, he feels like he's got to join in. He's got to. Because he's sad, he's not loved, and he doesn't like it. Right? If you're sad and not loved, the first thing you have to do is you see someone being attacked, and the first thing you do is go and join in. He's the sort of person where if there's a car crash, he gets his camera out and films it rather than helping the people in the car crash. That's the sort of person that guy is. That's unfortunately the world in 2025. And I see it, right? I see it all the time. It's the same 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 people. No, dude, I'm not rage baited. I'm just calling someone out. Again, people like that just say silly things, right? Let me tell you why I left the Spurs 5, right? I shouldn't have to do this, but I will. Right? No, all of this is because you're an arsehole, Sam. I'm calling you an arsehole now. I'm calling you out. Come onto my channel and we'll talk about it. I will call you out right now because you've done this for years. You have no real name, no real picture. What you do is anytime I see I'm being slagged off, I can guarantee Sam Smith's there. Sam Smith's there. He's digging in. And then what happens is someone says something, you join in, the next person then goes, yeah, Sam, I agree. He does it. Before you know it, you've got a thread of 25, 30 comments. Arsehole, Savva's a cunt, Savva's a prick, Savva's a wanker. And then you people go, oh, but if you can't take the abuse, don't be on YouTube. That's the problem, right? Those people in this world think that I'm the problem because I should just take abuse. No, I will abuse people that abuse me, right? People like Sam Smith now would shit himself. If I sent him the link to come on, shit his pants because he'd have to show the world his face, probably can't string a sentence together and actually have an adult conversation, right? That's the problem, isn't it? Right? But they don't get it. But you are, because people like you see it. And Sam Smith, every time someone mentions me, right? Every time someone mentions me, you're there, aren't you? Every time. Every time someone mentions me, you have to jump in and dig. Why? Surely you did it enough before you were banned, and then I brought you back onto my channel. I unbanned you, brought you back onto my channel to talk, but then you still go to other channels and at every opportunity. But you shit yourself face to face. Come on and have a chat. Come on and have a chat and tell me about myself. Come on and have a chat. You can't do it. No, this isn't all you do. Sam Smith, this isn't all you do. When you said this yesterday, that wasn't talking football. You were, as again, what you actually said about me wasn't bad. But you have to every single day, somebody says something about me. You're the first one there going, this, that, the other. I'm asking you right now, show everybody, don't shit your pants. Come on. Don't shit your pants. Come on and talk to me about football. You can't, because what you want to do is you want to be a troll. Now, when you say Savva calls everyone a troll, well, yeah, you've got no real name, no picture, and all you do is talk about other people. I'm here on camera saying, come on, jump on. Jump on, I'll give you the link. Let's see. Come on and talk to me, and let's see. Because people like you can't. As I said, you are the person that films the car crash that doesn't help in the car crash. You are what's wrong with 2025. See, people like Rumble, again, the ones that abuse me, I call idiots and childish, Rumble. Nothing to do with Thomas Frank. Couldn't give a crap about Thomas Frank. Nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it. Sam, not angry. See, don't confuse my anger for me calling you out for being the coward you are behind a keyboard. Everyone can see it, Sam. See, what you've done is you deflected. This is now not about football. I don't care about Thomas Frank. Let's put Spurs to the side. Come on. Every single time I was mentioned last night, you're there. Savva this. Savva that. Savva. When I wasn't even on the show. But you're there every time. Not about me being angry, mate. Not about me being angry. People like you think it's anger because I'm calling you out. I unblocked you. And then you say, I only talk about football. No, we don't. We see you. We see you, Sam. I can see every comment you make, Sam. Every comment. Are you, Sam, yes or no? Are you going to come on or have you shit your pants? Have you shit your pants, Sam? Because I saw it last night. People like you can't help it. Don't worry. Right? Don't worry. It's not just you, but it's always you. Like, it's not just you, but it's always you. I can guarantee it. If I go onto the Spurs 5 comments from last night, I can guarantee it. You're always there. You're always there. Always having a dig. And yet, you messaged me asking, why am I blocked? I said, I'll unblock you. Just stop being silly. Right? But yet you're not. So either come on or you get blocked. There's your last chance. So come on or you get blocked. Because you know what, mate? I'm really, really bored of, because I put my face to a camera, that every time I go online, I have to just see myself constantly being slagged off. Right? If any of you haven't, go and check out from the Spurs 5 last night. I'm going to tell you why I left in a minute. Go and check out the comments after the show. And it's just constant. Just constant. Barrage of Savva this, Savva that, Savva this. Let me tell you why I left the Spurs 5. Don't listen to these trolls like Sam that shit their pants. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to these people. Let me tell you why I left the Spurs 5. All right? 1, it was a big commitment to do every single Monday and every single Thursday. Right? Because every single Monday and Thursday, it would mean that from about 7:30 right the way through to about 10:30, 11, that's my whole night gone. Right? That's my whole night gone. You shit your pants. You've got 5 minutes to come on or you're getting blocked. You shit your pants. I've called you out, mate. Called you out. See, unfortunately, then what you do, you get idiots like this that then just say stupid things like, get off YouTube. We live in a world, people, where, right? We live in a world, people, don't we? Where people think, just say what you want about those people. And if you can't take it, get off YouTube. So what? I wasn't even on the show last night. It's not even my channel anymore. And people just talk about me and talk about me. But I call it out and I'm the problem. Right. I've just banned that Rumble, by the way. So let me tell you, right? Every Monday and Thursday doing the show, you're literally tied up from about 7:30 through to about 10:30. Right? 11. By the time you finished 10:30, 11, there's the admin that goes with it, sorting out the thumbnails, setting up the show, yada, yada, yada. Now, if I'm doing that Mondays and Thursdays, right, then I'm doing Spurs games, either a Saturday or Sunday, the game during the midweek, right? This is nearly every single night of my week taken up. And for me, I needed a little bit of time back to myself, right? I just wanted a little bit of time to myself. So I'm just explaining to you guys now. This has nothing to do with that guy. Just explaining to you now why I left the show. People think I left the show because of Thomas Frank or Spurs losing a game. You must be mad. What? That doesn't make any sense. Right? I needed a bit of time back to myself. I needed to be able to pick and choose when I go live. I needed to not be bound by, I can't do anything with my wife, right? I can't do anything. And I know people don't get this, but when you're a YouTuber full time, it's very difficult, right? It's very difficult when you don't have any time to yourself to do this and then spend time with my wife, blah, 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 right? This is a hard game. Now, you've got to remember, other than Sean, the other 3 on that channel don't do this full time. They don't do this full time. So they just jump in on a show once or twice a week. For me, it became too much. Nothing to do with them. Love the boys, right? It became a bit too much where I'm going, right, I've done 2 or 3 things on my own channel today. Now I've got to go onto this channel. And you have to ask yourself, at what point is the juice worth the squeeze? I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about my mental health and my well-being. Right? So that's why I left. It was nothing to do with Stell or Lubo or Johnny or Sean. I've got no problem. I've spoken to all of them. It was nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with anything like that. I just wanted to be able to turn the camera on, talk about football when I want, and just have that. Right? That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to do. And yet, I'm seeing 1,001 excuses from people who, reasons from people who don't know me, right? Talking about why, why I left, why I did this. Savva's too scared to come on. When have I ever been too scared to go online and talk about Spurs or my opinion? When? It just doesn't make sense. And guys, I don't mind admitting live. I'm struggling with it. I don't mind admitting I struggle with it. I just don't get it, right? Like if I'm, I don't want all this there in the mud. There in the mud. This, that, the other. It's just all a bit too much. It's all a bit too much. And I just wanted to talk football. So there you go. I've explained myself. And people can now do what they want with that answer, right? I can't keep explaining myself. The answer that one of the Spurs 5 gave yesterday was incorrect. I saw someone in the comments saying Savva only wants to do his own show. No, it's not to say I wouldn't. No, that's not true, by the way. I want to concentrate on my channel, but I will go on other channels as and when I want to. I don't want to be beholden to it. I don't want to have to turn around to my wife and say, sorry, it's Monday and Thursday, I can't see you. Sorry, it's Wednesday, Spurs. Sorry, it's Saturday. Or Saturday. I need to be able to have a little bit of time for myself, right? I am aware that I am part of the YouTube football fan problem in the last few years. I'm aware of that. We all are. All the YouTubers are. So that's all I want to do. So all I want to do is talk football, right? That's it. There's no issue. There's no drama. I'm not ill. I just want to do it when I want to do it. Yeah, I want to be able to do whatever show I want. And yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. But I just wanted to say, because I saw so many comments last night about why I left that were just completely wrong. And those people can believe what they want, but it is what it is. My health is first. My family's health is up there with it. And I want to go on whatever show I want to go on when I want to go on it. Right. I don't want to be beholden to others. So This is nothing to do with money, right? When people are talking about the money, at the end of the day, me leaving that show gives them all more money, right? They should, I'm sure they're happy about that. It gives them more money. Whatever they want to do is not, people keep asking me, are they going to get a fifth person? I don't know. It's not I'm not in their WhatsApp group anymore. That's purely for that channel. They will do what they want to do. I wish them all the best of luck. I was on a stream yesterday with Sean. I was on a stream a couple days ago with Stel. This notion that it's all gone tits up and it's just silly. Anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh God, my fault. By the way, guys, I'm completely aware of where I let myself down. Is I call out the trolls and I shouldn't. I call out the trolls and I shouldn't. That is where I let myself down. I completely get it. So I'm not going to answer any other questions about the Spurs 5. There's no drama. There never was. I walked away peacefully. They carried on peacefully. And it's just people in the chat that ruin it. Anyway, big up to each and every one of you. And thank you to, I think somebody just sent me oh, wow. So 2 people have just sent me a coffee. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate that. So that was Smokey Boy, always very generous to me. Big up to you, Smokey Boy, and George as well. George, very generous. Didn't say anything. Smokey Boy just said cheers, mucker. Big up to you two. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Look, it is what it is. Hang on, who's this? What? Bear with me 1 second. Sorry. Hang on. Sorry. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. It's really important. So I call you. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, we move forward. Tottenham Hotspur. We're going to beat Copenhagen tonight, right? We're going to beat Copenhagen. By the way, yeah, John, let me just say, this is why I don't really go on panel shows anymore. I know I'm very aware I have one of my own, which is the Spurs Review, which is one of my main shows of the week. But you're right. I find it crazy, John. Like, you know, as a Spurs representative, so to speak, if I'm on a panel show and Spurs have lost, the thumbnail and the title is about Savva gets cooked for Spurs. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why isn't it about the game and the subs and the manager and why is it always about a cooking? And for me, I just didn't want that. Those that love that game, absolutely fine. I'm not knocking it, but those that love that game, that's just not for me. Anyway, right? Anyway, the press conference yesterday, I thought that Vicario and Thomas Frank did brilliantly. I think it's a real shame, first and foremost, that they had to go into so much detail about the crowd, about the atmosphere, about the support. I think that's a real shame. Whenever I had a season ticket, it didn't matter win, lose, or draw. We were singing, and it was, yeah, there were times when you're frustrated, but that you were singing, and the atmosphere at Spurs was brilliant. And you got Vicario coming out and saying, listen, yeah, we didn't play well. We didn't play well. Of course, people can boo, but that it doesn't really help the team. And it was an interesting one, right? Because are we in a position after 10 games where people should be booing? There's the question you have to ask yourself, right? Are we in a position where we should be booing after 10 games? Bearing in mind, that game, if that had gone 1 goal the other way, we'd be sitting third. And that's the world we live in, right? A win takes you third. A defeat means you drop out the top 4, but boos. And I thought they did really well addressing it. I thought Thomas Frank was actually a bit nice to the fans when he said the atmosphere for the first half an hour was great, I actually thought the atmosphere from when I've watched the game back, because I can't watch it with the sound when I'm doing the watch-alongs. I thought it was a poor atmosphere. It was a really, really poor atmosphere. And chicken and egg, right? Fans want the performance. Players want the fans. It's mad. It's absolutely mad what's going on. But wouldn't it be lovely to get there tonight and everybody to just be up in voice? And yeah, you're going to get comments like this. But who does booing help? Who does booing help? This is the mindset I don't understand. So I can tell Machina Joe's never worked in football or done anything of importance. No offense. But when you're saying, I'll boo all I want because they're paid X amount. What does it matter whether I'm paid £1,000 or £100,000? I have a good game or I don't. Why does my bank account matter? That's what I don't understand. I don't understand what the booing does. This isn't Spurs fans, by the way. This is all fans. I don't know what the booing does. It's difficult, right? Do you want to be a fan base that gets behind the players, that tries to spur them on and help them out of that poor performance? Yeah, but Bash, I get that. But think about the psychology of that. So you're booing, you're frustrating the players, right? Does that make them play better and entertain? And to be entertained, it's going to take time. You've got to buy the right players to entertain. It's not flip a switch. Completely true, Yusuf, which is why I wasn't happy with the transfer window. And Real Madrid aren't so good because their fans boo. Real Madrid are so good because they've normally got the best players in the world playing in their football team. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Look, each to their own. Listen, if people want to boo, boo. I've never been a booer. I've never been a booer. I don't see who it helps. Imagine you're doing your job, something's not going well, and somebody's standing over there just booing and heckling you. I don't think that helps. That's only I can only sit here and say about my opinion. I don't think it helps. I don't think that human behavior is, oh, they're booing, let's suddenly start playing. I don't think that's how the human brain works. That puts you under pressure. I haven't verbally abused anybody. Who did I verbally abuse on YouTube? Me saying players aren't good enough isn't booing them whilst they're playing a game of football. There's a very big difference. Again, listen, look at the human psychology of football fans here. Look at it. It's embarrassing. I haven't verbally abused any of our players. I've said that I don't think they're good enough. I don't think people like Tell and Odeberg and Richie are good enough. But if I'm at the stadium, I'm not booing them while they're playing. I'll ask you this. Who has the booing helped? Who has the booing helped? Who does it help? That's only me, right? I'm of that mindset. I think that if I don't think it matters if you're a young player, an old player, whatever. If I'm a player and the players know in themselves if it's going well or not. If it's not going well, you know. But unfortunately, we live in, look at this. Sorry, Dan, I'll call it out, but this is the problem. The whole man up society. Who does it help? Whose performance? I think we're an awful fan, but I'll call it out. I think we're an awful fan base. The man up side of the world. Players are too soft. But you have to think about the psychology, right? But these players aren't Roy Keane. There's not many Roy Keanes about. But they're not being told that during the game when they're playing, are they? I don't know. I think football fans are the worst they've been for years. I'll say it. As I said, there's a difference between critiquing a player and booing them. I think if people are going to boo Wolves, their team bottom, right? Their team's bottom. Haven't won a game all season. I kind of get why they're at that stage where they want to boo. We're not. We haven't been. We've got a brand new manager that needs a bit of time. And we got grown adults that can't understand that it takes time. So the first thought is to boo. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that does. You speak to a lot of footballers, and again, this is again where people just spout shit. Speak to a lot of footballers, read their autobiographies when they talk about the side effect of that game, what the booing does, right? What the verbal abuse does, people who attack them on the internet. It's very different. It's very different, right? But football fans, we say things like man up. I mean, anybody I think who says the phrase man up, please never work in mental health. Please never, ever, ever work in any form of mental health. That's the first thing they'll tell you. You can't talk like that. It is just mental. I don't think anything that bad has happened that the club needs to be booed off the pitch right now. I just don't get it, James. I just don't get it. We've got a football team that's probably where it should be right now, and yet the manager is having to come out in press conferences and talk about the fans booing, and he's been here 3 months, and nothing that dramatic has actually happened, James. Do you know what I mean? But I think people don't understand how other human beings can be affected by certain things. I'm not talking about me. But Mark saying Spurs fans pay a lot of money and the right to view their opinions. Players earn a lot of money if they can't handle boring. See, but again, people associating money, right? People associating money with somebody's mindset. So if I earn £1 million a year, it means that I can handle criticism more than if I earn 10 grand a year. Is that how the human psychology works? I don't think that's how life works. And again, this is what you hear all the time. And this is why people go, God, the player costs 50 million. He needs to be amazing now. But that's not how human behavior works, is it? I just feel, I think as a football club, I'll say this. Bash, when was the last time we had a team capable of playing a really good performance and I would go away buzzing? Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm going to be an adult about this. Sorry. I don't get this man up nonsense. It's such a, oh, look at me. I've got an ego. It's ridiculous. You go and speak to psychologists. You go and speak to people in counseling. You get all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you'll see that the first thing I say that the whole man up thing is just awful. That is why there are so many male suicides, because people just say things to them like man up. You see it when you go and speak to any counseling service, and they'll tell you any men's mental health awareness. They'll say the worst thing you can do is tell someone to man up. Like that is, I'm really disappointed you said. I think that is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. My cousin is a men's mental health counselor. Said the number of times people sit and talk to him and say that they're just told to man up. If they go to anyone with a problem or they're feeling fragile, man up, just man up. People don't get how bad that is to hear. That is, I know we've gone away from football a little bit, but this is the problem. When people go, that's my opinion, deal with it. Wow. I haven't booed Tell. Do I think Tell's good enough? No. I haven't booed Tell. I would never boo a player. I don't boo at the stadium. That's not how I was brought up. No. Look, as I said before, Cam, we're not talking about Ange. Not everything is about Ange. Yeah. The game against Man City will live on. The game where fans wanted us to lose. Do you know what the funny thing about this whole fans wanted us to lose? I saw a handful of fans say they want to lose. A handful. A handful say they want Spurs to lose. And that turned to everyone should look. Every Spurs fan wanted us to lose that game. I a handful of people saying it. Ben, mate, it's true. It's true. This is. I hate it. I hate if it's said in a bit of jest. I get it, but Dan, please never work in mental health. You please never work in mental health. Not please. It's nothing to do with that trauma from being a kid. Please. This is the one thing people will say to you. Anyone, a female psychologist, a male psychologist, counselors, mental health workers, never say to someone, man up. That's why so many people will not talk about their problems with people, because people like you say to them, man up, mental. Anyway, we're moving away from it. Sorry, I just don't get this everything's black and white thing. I think it's a load of bullshit. It is what it is. Anyway, so I think Thomas Frank did the right thing yesterday coming out and Vicario. I do think it's a shame, as I said. I do think it's a shame that they've got to come out already after 3 months and say, you know, about booing in the stadium. And thank God for the away fans, I will say. I think thank God for the away fans. Whenever I watch, they're absolutely fantastic. Win, lose, or draw. The away fans are fantastic. At home, as I said, at White Hart Lane, it just didn't seem to be like this. No, I'm going to start getting to more games, I think. I'm going to start getting to more games throughout the season. And you won't see me booing. If it's a bad performance, I'll talk about it after the game. But you won't see me booing. I don't think it does anything. And again, I think it comes back to this unrealistic expectation of fans. Right now, I don't think anything's actually happened that we should be surprised about. Unless you had an unrealistic expectation, I don't think anything is really that surprising. I don't think it is. As I said earlier in the show, right? If you put your expectations there, then of course you're going to be feeling disappointed. But surely you put your expectations level with what you think of the players and the ability. Cheers, Ben. Appreciate it, man. I'm going to start going to more games and doing less YouTube. I am going to do that. I am. As I said, I look at this squad and I think if all goes well, 6th. If all goes well, 6th. If all doesn't go well, 7th, 8th, 9th, I don't know, depending on the level of not going well. We've got other people that are looking and going, this should be top 4. This should be competing with Chelsea. This should be competing with Liverpool and Arsenal. And I just don't yeah. Dan, I'm going to ask nicely, please, in my chat, can you stop saying this whole man up nonsense? This is a really sore subject with me. This is a really, really fucking sore subject with me, please. I think it's the most stupid thing anyone can say to anybody that's struggling is man up. It's mad. Please stop. Look, it's all about expectations. Right now, let me ask you, where should Spurs be? At the end of the season, realistically, with this squad, let me get some answers. Where should this squad be? Where should this squad be? Let me get some answers coming in. As I said, for me, I think if everything goes well, it's a 6th place. Right? I think that we're not living in a realistic world where everything does go well, and we'll probably end up somewhere between 7th, 8th. But realistically, where do people think we should be? Because we all say we don't have good wingers. We all say we don't have good strikers. We all say we need new midfielders. But then we all say, well, we should be 4th or 5th. And it's like, why? Why should we? And I'm going to wait for some answers to come in and we'll start reading out. But if the answer, and I don't know yet, we haven't gone to the comments, but if we say, if lots of people do start saying 7th, 8th, 9th, then what's the drama? What's the drama? That's what I don't get. Now, lots of caveats to this. What happens in the January window? Do we buy a striker? Do we buy a top winger? Do we buy a midfielder? Loads of caveats, but I'm talking about right now where we are. Where we are right now. Quinny, I agree we're an average side. That's my point. That's my point, mate. I agree. I think we're an average side. As I said, I think 6th if all goes brilliantly. Right? But I think anything 7th, 8th, 9th is possible if it doesn't all go brilliantly. I'm talking about injuries, talking about form, talking about transfer windows. But we've got a lot of people that are saying, well, I haven't contradicted myself once, Mark. What? Please, Mark, please explain. Where have I contradicted myself? I don't think I've contradicted myself at all. The problem is, right, as I said, if you seriously look at our team and think that's a top 4 Champions League team by merit, right? By merit, then I think what you've done is you've put the team there and therefore any result isn't going to be big enough, right? I think if you are more realistic, what I'm seeing is I can tell, right? All the ones that are complaining every game about the style, etc., are saying 4th, 5th. All the ones that don't complain in my chat are saying 7th, 8th, 9th. Now, the correlation for me is there. The correlation is there. This is a decent squad of players. Decent. This isn't anywhere near what Harry had, what Poch had. And those squads were finishing 4th, 5th. But, as I said, it's easy to want to seem positive and say we're just going to finish top 4. And then knock it when we don't. For example, let me use last season as an example. I was asked at the beginning of the season, where do you think the Spurs squad finishes? And I said 7th. And, oh my gosh, you would have thought I had said Tottenham were getting relegated. Oh my God, You're ridiculous. We've just finished 5th. We're now going to finish 4th. Oh my gosh. And I turned around and I said, yeah, we finished 5th. We played once a week. We're now playing in Europe. Everything changes. 2 games a week. Players rotated. Players that aren't good enough have to come in and play. That means the quality of the performance naturally drops. That means results drop. That means you go down the league table. But you would have seen it. I was ridiculed from pillar to post. Savva's negative, terrible. Then when we're in the bottom half of the table for most of the season, I'm getting, oh, you think these players are too good? Whoa. I said 7th. I said 7th. These other people were the ones talking about 3rd, 4th. And this is it. Realistically, I'll ask this question. Let's bring up the table. Right, let's bring up the table. Not sure what I said to contradict myself. Oh, where are we? There we go. Share screen. Right. I fully expect that in the next 5-10 games, when the league really levels itself out, I fully expect Newcastle and Villa to be up there. I think Man United will be up there as well. And then Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. I expect that 7 with Spurs to be in and around that 8, the top 8. There you go. I'll say this. I reckon that will be the top 8 after 20 Premier League games. I'll say that live on screen. Not in any particular order. I think Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Man U, Newcastle, Villa will be the top 8. Right? Now, I'm looking at those clubs and saying, what Spurs players get into the Arsenal 11? What Spurs players get into the Man City 11? What Spurs players get into the Liverpool 11? What Spurs players get into the Chelsea 11? I'm not saying none of them do, but it's very few. What Spurs players get into Newcastle's 11? Now, there's a few, right? There's a few that do. We could talk about the Van de Vens, the Romeros, maybe a Paulinho. But now, when you actually break it down, look how many don't. So which teams do Udogie and Porro get in out of those clubs I mentioned? Which clubs do Udogie and Porro get in that I mentioned? This is the thing. When you break it down as to people go, we should be 4th, we should be 5th. I look at these other squads and think you're stronger. They're stronger. Right? We can have the conversation about a Romero or a Van de Ven. But in general, we're not sitting there going, oh my God, 7 or 8 of our team would get into those 11s, right? Because we've got better footballers. So we've really got to think about, before we say where should we be and why should we be so upset. This is why I'm not upset. This is why I'm not upset. This is why I'm not confused. This is why there is no need for the booing. Look at the squads and then ask yourself these honest questions. And I know people don't want it. But I look at I genuinely look at the team, and again, we can have the argument about would Romero get into any of those teams, right? We can have the argument maybe 1 or 2 of them. But would Van de Ven, well, cool, when he's on form, maybe 1 or 2 of them. We can have the argument about Paulinho in the DM. Does he get into one of those teams? Kudus on his day. Now look at everyone else in our squad. Not one of our other wingers other than Kudus is in contention. None of our attacking midfielders. None of our strikers. None of our centre mids other than Paulinho would be in the conversation. Our fullbacks, are they that good? Oh, are they really that good? I think Porro's been dreadful. Adogi's never fit for me to be able to turn around and say, yeah, he definitely does. So when you are, I've always said this. I think when fans are honest with themselves about how good players are, I think certain things become more manageable. Right? Manageable. But if you're looking at Arsenal right now, which one of our players gets in that Arsenal 11? I know that's the extreme because they're the best team in the country right now. Who's getting into Man City's team? Really, realistically, who's getting into Man City's team? None of our midfielders and forwards get into Man City's team. Maybe a Romero. Right? Who gets into Liverpool's team? Maybe a Romero or a Van de Ven. Maybe one of them. Who else? None of the midfielders, none of the forwards. Who gets in? Listen to what I said. I said maybe. Alf, I'm saying maybe. I'm saying maybe Van de Ven and Romero, when on form, might get into one of these teams. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? So this is the thing. Now look at Newcastle. Look at the Newcastle midfield. Look at the Newcastle forward line. Now start asking yourself, how many of our players that we've got get into that team? Now, Newcastle, I would say, one of our centre-halves gets in, maybe one of our fullbacks. Even then, they've got good players like Livramento, Hall, Dan Burn. You know, they've got good players. So this is where, and I know people don't want this because what they want me to do is just wax lyrical about every player. But notice when you're honest about the level of footballer you've got, now ask yourself, where should we really be? Right? Now ask yourself, where should we really be? Now, Man United, that's an interesting one, right? Because Man United, I don't think any of ours get in their forward line, right? Bruno Fernandes is a better playmaker than what we've got. Now, if you go a bit further back down the pitch, you might start having the conversation, right, about centre halves and maybe Paulinho would definitely get in their team. But you have to ask yourself this question. What are we doing for? What are we asking the manager out for? Where should we be? Who are we better than? Who are you expecting to be above? Where does your expectation as a Tottenham fan sit? Because at the moment, there's a lot of people that think we're a lot better than what we are. I'm seeing people saying this is a stronger squad than last year. I genuinely don't see how that could be possible. Maddison's not in the squad. Kulu's not in the squad. Studdy has left. What's stronger? We've kind of replaced them three with Kudus, Paulinho, and Simmons. But this squad is better. Based on what? Where are we going to? So Carlson's completely missed the whole point of this conversation, as always. This is not about. No, there's always one that doesn't understand the context of the conversation. Now, that's not to say Xavi Simons isn't going to come good. Players need time. But I think that a lot of people are overlooking just how much Kane and Son for years papered over cracks. And now we don't have either of them. Now we don't have either of them. So when you look at that, really take a deep dive in our squad and ask yourself, who is 100% quality? Like week in, week out quality. I don't think there's many, is there? I mean, Van der Ven and Romero have been doing better this year because they're playing in a proper back four, sure. But for the last few years, has been very much up and down. Paulinho, for me, is quality. Other than that, where are you looking in this squad and going, that should be Champions League? And I know that's a horrible conversation to have. But that's what we need to develop. That's what is going to take time. That is why, to round this point off, if your expectations are unrealistic, and if you rate the players better than they are, you're never, ever going to be justified in your thinking. Yeah? Some players need time. Other players don't. Fans don't want that anymore. Everyone's got to get judged after about 5-10 games. Managers are judged after 5-10 games. We are where we should be, right? I mean, if we look at that table, where are we? Sorry, I don't know why. I look at this and I don't see the drama. Like I look at this and I think that's exactly where we probably should be. There or thereabouts. 6th, 7th, 8th. And look, we're level with 6th, 7th, 8th, right? We've got the same points as Chelsea and Man United. Except before the season, Man United will be there or thereabouts because they're playing one game a week. Man U don't have to rotate. Man U don't have a great squad. But what they do have is a best 11 that they can play once a week. Chelsea do have a very good squad. They can rotate more freely and easily than Tottenham. But beat Man United, and we're right up there after just under a third of the season. Well, Ronnie, chairman care about the table. Owners, chairwomen, owners, directors care about the table. Hence why people get sacked when they're bottom of the table or near relegation. Completely agree, Ben. Would you rather sign 3 or 4 squad players or 1 top player? I want 3 or 4 top players. I don't know why it has to be either or. Go out and buy quality. Go out and buy quality. We're not going to get world class, but go out and buy quality. Keep buying Paulinho level footballers. Keep buying Kudus level footballers. But stop buying average players and then fans wondering why we don't play great football and why we aren't higher in the table. It's really that simple. With this squad, if you had said to me 5 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats from 10 games, I would have said probably about right. And it is absolutely this. It's expectations versus reality. As I've said, this is going to take... Sorry, 1 second. Someone at my door? No. Sorry, I thought I heard the door go. As I said, if your reality, if your expectation is that we are going to play free-flowing football with these footballers and we're going to look really good going forwards, you're going to be disappointed because you don't have the level of players to play that way. If your expectation is, right? New manager, need a bit of time, need 3, 6, 9, 12 months to implement, to build, to grow, need a couple of transfer windows, get some out, get some in. If that's your expectation, then that's why you're going to be like me and you're not going to be pissed off. I don't expect Spurs to win the league, the Champions League, or the FA Cup. The FA Cup is always depends on who you get, right? But you got fans going, he has to win the FA Cup this year or it's failure. Like, so does that mean every Spurs manager has failed that's never won a trophy? It's just expectation versus reality is a real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah, players that I'd like to see. I'd like to see Spurs go out and get players like Stiller from Germany. I'd like to see Spurs get players like Ivan Toney on loan. If you can't get an Ivan Toney, can we get a Vlahovic? I'd like to see Spurs go and get some top players that have been there, seen it, and done it. I'll be honest, I don't want to watch Bergvals and Grays in the 11. Bring them on. If that's what we're doing and we're trying to bring players like that through, bring them on. Give them minutes here and there. Build, steadily grow. But let's get the quality into that first 11. Because I'll ask you this. If this Spurs side had Brentford's front four from last season, Damsgaard, Buemo, sorry, just 3 of them, Damsgaard, Buemo, and Wissa, and Kudus as the 4th one, how much different would we look? How much different would we look? All day. Quality footballer. All day, Angus. Yeah, he's a good footballer. But he did play for you lot. But yeah, good player. Running the show at Sunderland, isn't he? Stand out. Players like Conor Gallagher. Experienced pros who have been there, seen it, done it. Played for big teams. Get them in. Build that squad. But we turn our noses up at players like that, Ben. We've got fans. You think that, Ben, if I give a list of, and by the way, this isn't all fans, but there are players, these players I'm about to name, all had loads of the fan base saying they weren't good enough for Spurs. Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, Conor Gallagher, right? Just to name a few, not good enough for Spurs. Vlahovic, Wissa, not good enough for Spurs. Voldemort, the new guy, not good enough for Spurs. We seem to do this thing where anybody that's mentioned isn't good enough. But then when you take the young players that have done nothing, we go, oh my God, they're going to be amazing. Well, we need, for me, I think if you put 3 or 4 very good seasoned footballers into this squad, Spurs would be a much better proposition. On the ball, off the ball, higher up the table, scoring more goals. We'd look stronger. But we didn't. We didn't. We did the bare minimum and fans went, what a window. James, if you talk to me like that, I'll just block you. Lots of people said they wouldn't spend that money on Voldemort and he wouldn't get in our team. Lots did, James. I remember doing a show on it when Newcastle were linked with him. So please don't talk to me like that. You will be blocked. But Wayne, again, just remember, our fans didn't want these players. Lookman. How many people didn't want Lookman? How many people were saying, oh, Akliouche? Nah. Akliouche. Quality player. Quality player. Quality player. But look, we'll see. We'll see. I just think before we lose our minds as a fan base and our performances, before people start booing, realign your expectations. Yes, absolutely, Rodney. By the way, not just Spurs fans. I mean, he's nothing like Paulinho and Bentancur. See, this is the difference. He doesn't play anything like Paulinho and Bentancur. Like, in any way, shape, or form, does he play like Paulinho and Bentancur? That. We've got this heart v head problem at Tottenham, and we've always had it. And what I mean is, we know deep down that the players we have aren't good enough. But what we do is we overcompensate. We start talking about players being better than they are. So you look right now, because our forwards are struggling, suddenly Solanke is amazing. But he never really has been, has he? But he's amazing because he's not playing. Right now, if Solomon was at Spurs, it is what it is. See, again, but James, we need a squad. This is the problem. I've not said buy Gallagher and he's the only one. For me, I think we've got a poor set of midfielders. For me, other than Paulinho, the other five are okay. For me, I'd want to see us go and get a ball-playing midfielder, right? Go and get a Gallagher as a box-to-box. Get some energy in there. Get legs in there. Get energy. Get people who fight for everything. Drive forward with a ball. Know how to score a goal as well. Not every player is going to be amazing in your squad. But why would we not want a proper box-to-box midfielder like Conor Gallagher in the team that's been there, seen it, done it? Plays for England, played for Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, but he's not good enough for Spurs. And again, let that sink in, guys. Let that sink in. Simeone thinks he's good enough for them. Chelsea, he was good enough to be their captain. England, he's good enough for. He's not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. That's where I look at it and go, what are we doing here? Right? And that is where we're going to do it again in the next windows. See, we've got people again. Look, cardio merchants. This squad needs energy. This squad needs vibrancy. This squad needs legs. I think we need a lot. But again, listen, Conor Gallagher for me is better than all our midfielders other than Paulinho, who does what Paulinho does as a specialist. By the way, I've never said Conor Gallagher is my first choice, by the way. It was just because someone brought him up. But again, we do this every window. No one's good enough. No one seems to be good enough for Tottenham. And yet we watch how we play for years and years, and we still can't bring ourselves to say some of these players aren't good enough. We can't do it. We really can't do it. I saw that Rashford wouldn't get in this Spurs. Marcus Rashford walks into this Spurs team with one leg. He's good enough for Barcelona. He was good enough for Villa. Wasn't good enough for most Spurs fans. And this is the problem. We do this every window as a fan base. We don't know because we just want to praise everything. I'm seeing fans that I'd rather have Bergvall than Conor Gallagher. Really? Based on what? It's based on hope. It's based on dreams. It's based on what might happen in the future. Angus, it's a no-brainer. I said it in the summer. Get that boy in. If it's a loan or get him in at Spurs, get him on the left, get him up front, wherever. Pace, experience, goals. It's a no-brainer. Wasn't good enough. Not good enough. I mean, we could do this with so many players. Danny and I last year saying, get a Locatelli. Don't want him. Get a Manu Kone. Don't want him. Like, ooh, what are we? And you know what I always say? You will only realise, fans will only realise what we needed when we buy it. Fans will only realise what we need when we buy it. And I know that sounds obvious, but when we go and buy a midfielder that's better than the midfielders we got, we will then realise just how average the midfielders we currently had were or are. When we go and buy a top quality left winger, we will then have fans that suddenly realise just how hamstrung we were without playing with a proper left winger. Ball playing midfielder, striker. If you went and got Vlahovic now and stuck him up front, right, you would realise just how poor our other strikers are compared to him. Just using him as an example, by the way. But until that happens, people don't want to take their head from out the sand. They don't want to take their heads out the sand because it's seen as negative. So, for example, I'm told I hate the youth. I don't hate the youth. I just don't think the youth players are good enough yet that they should be in our 11. You hate Archie Gray. No, I don't. Archie Gray should be out on loan playing week in, week out. That's not me hating Archie Gray. That's me saying, give the boy the best opportunity possible. Give him game times. Get him playing men's football week in, week out. Then if he's good enough, bring him back, get him in the 11. We need, first of all, I think we need men. I think we need a lot of powerful men. I think we need experience. I think we need legs. I think we need guile, skill. But you know what? It's not going to happen in 3 months under one manager. This is what the football club needs to implement a plan to say, right, this window, we're going for this. We're going to then add these 2 players in January. We're then going to add these 2 or 3 in the summer. We're then going to add these 2. And all the while you're going, I'll add these, I'll add these, I'll add these. While I'm adding these leave. These go on loan. These leave permanently. Squads evolve over time. Ours isn't. Ours isn't enough evolving. But this comes back to my entire point. If you think the players are better than they are, you're going to be disappointed. When I see a Spurs team line up at the moment, no part of me looks at our forwards and says, yeah, we're going to rip this team apart. No part of me looks at Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Tell, Odegaard, Mawani and says, you know what? Yeah, we've got 3 or 4 goals in us today. No part of me. But other fans go, should win this tonight 4-5-0. Should we? Based on what? Like, based on what? Where are these 4 or 5 goals coming from? Now, that doesn't mean we're never going to have a game where we score that many goals. But you've got to have the players capable. You've got to have the players capable. Xavi Simons, will he get going? Will he become good? We don't know. We all hope so. What I've seen of him in the past, I really like him. But at the moment, without him firing, no Madison, no Kulusevski, we lost Son and didn't bother replacing him. You got no centre forward that can score a goal, no left winger. What is it that people are thinking they're going to see? Like I'm hearing people going, well, Sunderland play braver than us. Sunderland have only scored 12 goals. I watched the Sunderland game last night. They never looked like scoring a goal. No, I'm not knocking them because they're Sunderland. They've just been promoted. Stanley, what's this? What's this? What's this? Sorry, 1 second. What's this? No. Come in. Sit. Come in. Sorry, everyone. I'm here. No, because you're going to run to the front door. Sorry. My front door's about to be opened and Stanley will run to it and try to run out in the road. And that's for me. I look at any team and I say to myself, where should they be? What should they be doing? Right, ready? All right. You ready? Ready? You gonna go see Graham? Yeah? You gonna go see Graham? Yeah? No. Sorry. And that's the thing I look at. So I look at a Spurs. I'm amazed this Spurs team has scored 17 goals. I'm truly amazed that this Spurs team with such little creativity and strikers has scored 17 goals. You've got Richarlison. Let's be fair. He tries hard. He works hard. He's not good enough, is he? He's not. But if you say it, I mean, 17 is not a lot. Let's have a look at the league table and see who's scored more. Chelsea, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. The only 4 teams. So the only 4 teams that have scored more than us are the biggest 4 teams in the league. Right? So I'll ask you this. Who are we expecting to grab all these goals? When you look, I'll ask you, when you look at this Spurs side, who are you expecting to get all these goals? Who are you expecting to create? Who are you expecting when we say things like, we're going to win 3 or 4-0 today? Who are you expecting? I expect nothing from Richarlison. I expect nothing from Brennan Johnson. I expect nothing from Tell. I expect nothing from Odegaard. We know Xavi Simons needs time to get up to speed. But when you go into a season with these options, surely you know you are not going to be strong in that area of the pitch. Now, that doesn't excuse the 0.005 for all those people out there that like XG. I don't care about XG, right? XG can mean nothing. You could have a 0 XG, corner comes in the last minute and you win 1-0. That doesn't really matter. So, for me, just a bit of calm. Just a bit of knowing that we need to strengthen. Where I will be annoyed is the next 2 windows. The next 2 windows is where we need to strengthen. And we're going to see, do the Lewis family want it? Of course, Marcus, no one's saying the game wasn't dreadful. Of course, no one's saying that. No one's saying that. Different subjects. Expectations is the theme of this morning. Expectations. If your expectation is that Spurs are going to play free-flowing football and score loads and loads and loads of goals, or if your expectation is getting the best out of the squad that we've got, being where we are, and going again in the next transfer windows, then you're going to be happy. And that's why when people say things like, You left the Spurs 5 because you were wrong about Frank. Wrong about what? We're 10 games into a season. I don't know how anyone could be wrong about that. Bowden? Who's Bowden? I don't know who that is. Bowden? Let me... Bowden? I don't know. Oh, Bowen. Oh, sorry, Bowen. Sorry. The links with Jared Bowen. Oh my gosh, all day, every day, Jared Bowen would transform our forward line. Imagine him down one side, Kudus down the other. Yes. Now, will it happen? I don't think so. But yeah, absolutely. That's the sort of player you've got to be looking at, right? That's the sort of player you've got to be looking at. Again, a seasoned professional, scores goals, gets assists. Sure, that is surely what you want. Can play down the middle, can play off the right, can play off the left. Sure. Do I think it will happen? No. But we would have, guys and girls, make no bones about it, we will have a number of fans that would say, don't want Bowen. And that's the problem. Anyone we link with don't want him. They'll praise Tell, they'll praise Odeber and Johnson. Don't want Bowen. Let's have a look at Jared Bowen. Let's have a look at Jared Bowen. I like him. I liked him at Hull. I'll be honest, I liked him all those years ago at Hull. So what we're looking at, so Jared Bowen is 28 years of age. Now, the one thing is we know he's got like a 5-year contract, right? But when you look at Jared Bowen, there you go, I'll bring his details up. No, not there, we won't. Look at Jared Bowen for the last 4 seasons for West Ham. 18 goals, 13 goals, 20 goals, 14 goals. I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? That's a no-brainer. For a guy that plays out wide, that's a lot of goals. That's the sort of player we should be looking at, for me. I don't care that he plays West Ham. Now, whether he cares that he plays for West Ham and it's Spurs. But it doesn't, we're just using him as an example, right? But I look at the Bowens. I looked at a player like Garnacho, for example. Don't get me wrong, wasn't my first choice in any way, shape, or form. When I look at Jared Bowen and I look at the left, when I look at Garnacho and look at the left wingers we've got, no-brainer. Jack Grealish was a no-brainer. Fans were going, he's a drunk. What? He's a drunk. We need men. We need men that have been there, seen it, done it. Now, unless you are a quality young player, I mean truly quality, we need some experience. But hey, I don't know, guys. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I get a lot of hate for not rating average players. I will never apologize for that, guys. I will never, ever apologize for not rating average footballers. This sentence gets used a lot on YouTube, which is, oh my God, you've written them off already. It's not about writing players off. I hear this all the time about Tell and Odeber and Bergvall and Gray. It's not about writing them off. There is, between writing them off and them being in the first team, is a huge gap. You've got people sitting there going, I want Gray playing. Based off what? Based off what should Archie Gray be a first-team footballer at Tottenham Hotspur? Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to be a quality player one day. I don't know. He could be great. He could be rubbish. I don't know. But on the one hand, we talk about we want to be a big club and we want to act. And on the other hand, all we want to do is see young players play and get a chance. And unfortunately, you can't have both. It's a fine line. I've seen people having a debate in the chat about whether I'm negative or realistic. And that's fine. But I haven't seen anything in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years that tells me that the players that I say aren't quite good enough. I'm seeing. Do you know what? When I look at the players that I always say aren't good enough and people tell me I'm wrong, they always seem to be the players that are the first ones to not be played. Which tells me I must be along the right lines. Tells you, why isn't Johnson a regular starter in this team? Why isn't Tell? Why isn't Odegaard? Why isn't Richie? Why isn't Bergvall? Why isn't Gray? Why isn't Sarr? All the players that I'm talking about, right? Why are they the ones that are constantly rotated? They're the ones that are not good enough right now. Right now. What the magic microphone says is they're all shit. Never said that. Never said that. Do I think Matisse Tell is good enough for Tottenham? No, I don't. Does that mean he won't have a great career in football? No, it doesn't. Does it mean in 2 years' time he could be up front for Spurs banging in goals? Could be. But right now, is it what we need? I don't think it is. But yet we made a decision as a club to go and buy that. Right now, Odegaard gets praised, right? Odegaard looks to me like a decent run-of-the-mill winger. Like nothing about him where I go, core, quality. Decent. He's decent. Controls the ball, passes it 5 yards inside, gives and goes. But now ask yourself, is that where we want to be? Is that where we want to be? So before people are saying, oh, you're harsh on Odegaard, am I? He's played like 33 games for this club and got like no assists and 1 goal or 2 goals or something. It's terrible. Now, that doesn't mean he won't get better in the future. But right now, that's not the level we should be looking at. So, and I know it's not up to the fans. And I know it's easy to say just back every player. Sure. But me saying a player isn't good enough might just be the truth. Do you remember the Poch team, right? You had Lloris, Walker, Vertonghen, Alderweireld and Rose. Wanyama, Dembele, Eriksen, Son, Ali, Kane. Look at that levels, didn't even win anything. Right? And this is, we didn't win anything with those players. So when you look at the level we've got now, we're miles below that. We are miles below that. Porro is nowhere near Walker for me. Wanyama and Dembele was a superb midfield too. We've got nowhere near an Eriksen, nowhere near an Ali, nowhere near a Son, nowhere near a Kane. I don't think Udogie, it's difficult because he's always injured, but Udogie is nowhere near Rose during those peak times. When you look at that, you go, we were there. We're there. But we're expecting to perform like we did when we had those players. That's not how football works. Like Man City. Man City aren't performing where they were a few years ago because the squad isn't as good. They don't have a Kevin De Bruyne now. Rodri's out injured. Right? They don't have that type of Mahrez, for example. And funnily enough, they're not as good. That's life. Right? That is life. And we can talk all day long about where we want to be. We can talk all day long about how good a player can be, or might be, or will be. But if you're going to champion for Tell, for Odeberg, for Bergvall, for Gray, for Sarr, for Richarlison, for Johnson, if you're going to champion these players playing, don't then be annoyed when we're not sweeping past teams playing good football and not in the top 3 or 4. That's just the reality. I don't even think that's me being harsh. I feel like that's a reality. Why are Man U not winning titles anymore? Well, their squad is nowhere near what they used to have. There's nothing wrong with being grounded. There's nothing being wrong with understanding the limits. Dream. Everyone should dream, of course. Dream. Enjoy it. Dream. But keep it realistic. I will end the show in 5 minutes, by the way. I could come onto screen every day and say, Spurs finishing second. Imagine Spurs finishing second. Spurs finishing second. And people will go, Savva's positive. Savva's positive. Savva's positive. Realistically, that's not me being positive, is it? That's me being unrealistic. And I think as I've got older, I've very much realised the difference between realism and fake positivity. There's nothing wrong with being positive. I'm not knocking it. But to bring it full circle, just because you want it to be true doesn't make it so. And again, see, this person has not listened. Again, see, this is the problem. People like this aren't listening. There's nothing wrong with being positive, as long as you don't let that take over reality. Me saying I want to win the lottery doesn't mean I can then turn around and go, oh, but I was a shoo-in to win it this weekend. I'm positive I want to win it. But realistically, I know there's about 15 million other people who've got a chance of winning it as well. You've got to keep grounded, keep a bit of reality. And to dare is to do. To dare is to do. Well, you know who needs to dare is to do? The board. The board need to dare is to do for fans like me to feel that way. I'm sure many of you will feel the same way as me. I can't look at the squad we've got and start overthinking we're going to play good football and start overthinking we're going to win week in, week out. There will be bumps in the road. There will be bumps in the road. But what's the destination? Are we all saying the destination is winning the title? Because it's unrealistic, isn't it? Is the destination getting back to being a regular top 4 team like we were under Poch? Sure. Doable. You've got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to buy the quality to make that happen. Did we back Poch? You would say no. But did Poch have a bloody good 11? Yes. And that bloody good 11 allowed Poch to be in that top 4. Brilliant coaching, brilliant 11. It allowed him, right? It had the ingredients. But why couldn't Poch go the next level up? Well, we didn't build the infrastructure behind that, did we? And we haven't. Since that time, we have not built the infrastructure behind that to be back to those days. But the fans' mindset is we should be there. But to be there, you've got to buy what you need. If Spurs this summer just gone had turned around and bought Adam Wharton, Lookman and Vlahovic, right? Right now, we'd see a very different Spurs team. And our expectations could be very different, but we didn't. We left ourselves with no proper left winger, no proper striker, no ball playing midfielder. And yet fans want to see good football. Got to ask yourself the question, which midfielder in our team plays good football? Which midfielder in this entire squad is a ball-playing midfielder who dictates a game, gets on the ball? If your answer is nobody, then why do you expect us to dictate games and play nice football through the channels? It's not. You've got to have the footballers to do it. But Dylan, we have. When you're saying progression, our goals are up. Our goals conceded are down. Our wins are up. Our defeats are down. And we can change the shape and how we play if we buy the right players to play that way. Look, I am going to wrap it up. I'm going to do some super chats, but you've got to... Football for me has never been this great big conundrum that fans think it is. Cream rises to the top. Quality rises, right? You see it every year. Quality rises. Look at Man City last year. Had a terrible couple of months, didn't they? And then what happened from January through to May? Picked up the most points in the league. Why? Because quality out-trumps form. Right? The quality will always take over form. And unfortunately, we just don't have enough of that. Will it come? Yes, it will. If we buy the right footballers. If you don't buy the right footballers, I don't know what people expect. So for me, are we where we should be? Yeah. Are we playing how I think we should be? Open to interpretation. I'd like to see a bit more, but I also don't think we're going to see anything too much better with the players we've got. But I don't know. We're going to go round and round in circles as a fan base. I know it. We're going to go round and round in circles as a fan base. Anyway, it is what it is. Let's just keep things realistic. Let's hope a win tonight and a win against United will settle a lot of things down. The watch along tonight will be 6:30 or 6:45. I can't remember what time I've set the show. Let me do some super chats. Big up to Andy Lester, legend. Thank you so much. Very generous. Said, big up Savva. Takes guts to say that live on YouTube. As you know, I've had my struggles in the past year. You've helped me so much. If there's anything I can do to favour, get in touch. I really appreciate that, mate. Listen, I just think that there's too many people that are judging other people when they don't know them. I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a political figure. I'm not famous. I'm a YouTuber. So when people are just going around making lies about why I left shows, why I did this, why I did that, it is annoying and it does affect me. Yeah. And unlike the whole nonsense of just man up, it's annoying. It's frustrating. It's lies. Hey, big up to you, Andy. Really appreciate that, my man. Big up Martin, been a member for 25 months. So morning, Savva. We're way off Champions League quality. Martin, I completely agree. This squad, I don't look at this squad and think Champions League quality. I look at this squad and think 3 or 4 extra needed to make that Champions League quality. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. Dean Law with a super sticker. Thank you very much, buddy. Really appreciate you. Dean Law, always with a super sticker. Thank you very much, my man. Big up to Mark Taylor as well, who's just sent me a coffee as well. Very, very generous. So keep being you, pal. I will, mate. You know me. I will. Really appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much. And Jordan said if it was all about coaching, then Pep could just buy the whole Wolves team and coach them to win the title. That's how ridiculous that logic is. Most of our current squad wouldn't look out of place at Everton. Let's talk about that for 2 minutes before we go. Right? Let's talk about that for 2 minutes. Right? Bang on. All of these people, you will have a coach that will come in and do things. People are going, who's been coached? Look how we defend. We've let in 8 goals in 10 games, but apparently he's not coached anything yet. Look how good we are at set pieces, but he's not coached anything. Right? Big up, Jordan. Bang on. Huge difference between people not understanding what a coach does and how long it takes. When a young player, just checking, I thought I had a phone call. When a young player joins an academy, a lot of the time, the conversation is very much this. Like, let's say a 13, 14-year-old, really like this player, really like your son. Let's get him in the academy. We're going to coach him. Do you believe that they go, right, he's got 6 months, and if he's not good, they get rid of him? Like, do you think that's how it works? Do you think when Bergvall was brought to this club, it was, right, in 18 months, you're going to be a world beater? It takes time. But again, have you noticed those that hate Frank can't give any credit? Look, so Frank sorted out our defence in the main. We have not been conceding many goals. And yeah, but that's because of Vic. Nothing to do with the fact that he's got the back 4 in place, that we've defended brilliant. Look how good we were against certain teams this season. Again, look, see, this is not true. Look how many clean sheets we've had this season. Again, but this is the problem, you see. Everybody can come in here and just knock Frank. Any of the good stuff he's done, look how these so-called Spurs fans just ignore it. We've let in 8 goals in 10 Premier League games. Right? We've let in 2 goals in 3 Champions League games. We're not even at 1 a game ratio this season. And yet we don't think he's coached the defence better. Doesn't mean it's not going to get better still. Doesn't mean it doesn't need time. But we don't think he's coached that defence better. Bang on. This is where I was all summer. This is where I've been all summer. If you come in and pick up a mess, give the manager some time to sort it out. But look how many football fans want everything sorted out in 3 months and 10 Premier League games. It is mental. I'm going to leave it there, guys. And yes, he's a coach, not a magician. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, it is what it is. We move to tonight. I'll see you all later. 6:30, 7:15. I think we're going to beat Copenhagen. Let's hope we do. And big up Jordan. Thanks for the super chat. 6 clean sheets we had last season. 6. How many we had this year in all competitions? Ronnie, there's nothing wrong with being lucky. Why weren't we lucky last year then when we were being ripped wide open? Anyway, guys, girls, much love. Should have bought one then, shouldn't he? Should have bought a number 6. He famously said he doesn't play with a number 6. Come on. Take care, everyone. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.